question of where do you put the place?
Right.
How's it going to be accessible to the greatest number of students? Is it going to be accessible to resident students? Is it going to be accessible in the evenings, on the weekends, and so on? One of the first places that we talked about was someplace on second or third floor of the library. One of those study rooms, that would have been pretty small and cramped, but I find it fascinating that after 5 years of the writing centers being in existence, we are in the library.
Yeah.
Lower level, but we're still in the library.
Well, yeah, but that's even better. I
Yeah.
mean, you walk in and we're easy to find.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of the learning hub. That's what they.
Sure.
That was the goal.
Right.
To move it here.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and Judy Larson, the Dean of Libraries, was talking back then in 2009 about this notion of, a learning commons or whatever you call it, where everything related to academic support is sort of situated in one place. But you're never going to have everything convenient to everybody.
Right. Ideally, but not always realistically, like you said.
Right. I'm thinking about obstacles, more like, just questions of logistics. Okay, place, furniture, how do you find a staff?
Right.
How do you pay the staff?
That's a pretty big, yeah.
Most definitely, yes, yeah. So we started out with a lot of guesswork.
Mm-hmm.
How much, and I can't remember how we went about establishing an initial budget.
Mm-hmm.
It was mostly graduate assistantships, supplies, books, all of the nitty-gritties of everyday stuff.
At this point, had you, when you were kind of like looking towards all these elements, was this before or after you had kind of started going to some of the aforementioned conventions and conferences and such, where you would have, you would kind of get these ideas and I would imagine pick up some publications, to kind of place there. So was all this, was that still yet to come at this point that you're describing?
It was almost simultaneous in a way. The first incarnation of the writing lab, as we called it during its first semester, spring of 2009, was was a little pod within a big room over in the Wharton School of Social Services, simply because that's where academic support was at that time, and the space got carved up and walls and cubicles and so on got erected and I don't know how much thought was given to where are we in the larger realm of things, and again, I don't know what Andrew Freeman's professional background was or what kind of professional development he was engaging in at the time. I know that he got started doing, I think it's CRLA, College Reading and Learning Association or something like that, certification for the tutors in the tutoring center, who are all undergraduates. And we had, I'm trying to remember, I think that was probably that first fall, when I had become Writing Center director. And I worked with him on developing some of the materials for the training. What is tutoring all about? What are the ethics of tutoring? How do you go about this in a professional manner? how do you keep track of records and paperwork and so on. And the CRLA is a, or CLRA or whatever that.
Yeah, the organization.
Yes. It's a national organization that certifies tutors. Turtles.
Certifies turtles.
There you go, yes. It does that. And so Amy Larrabee, now Amy Eichhoff, who's now one of the academic advisors, was one of our professional tutors. I think she had completed her bachelor's degree and so on. So she was working in the writing center and doing some other job out in the educational world. She put a lot of thought into some of the modules that Andrew was developing for this training towards certification.
Okay.
It was hard to get the writing center tutors involved simply because of timing. That's the ongoing obstacle. Always,
it's not a good time. It's not a good time.
Exactly. Yeah. But at least for a semester or so, we had some of us who came to these certification meetings and participated. None of us ever went through even the first level of certification after the modules were developed.
Okay.
But and I know that organization is geared, as I understand it, primarily toward undergraduate tutoring.
I think so, yes.
But the concepts certainly apply all the way through.
Right.
So, as I said, my summer in between kind of working with Andrew, well, let me back up. I guess it must have been the fall of 2008. I worked with Andrew to just collaborate on his getting the writing lab set up and launched in the spring of 2009.
Okay.
And then the summer after the summer of 2009, I knew I was going to be setting up the Writing Center as a separate entity in the fall. So I needed to get it set up during the summer.
Yes.
And that Philadelphia IWCA conference came along at just the right time in July. So I went to that and, just learned lots of things. They have a couple of publications that I presume you all are still getting. So reading those periodic things, and then, there are a number of things online that are extremely helpful. So
I noticed, let's back up just a bit.
Sure.
So you said roughly, would you say about 18 months or so from beginning to work with the director of the tutoring and learning services at that time to actually having, like you said, a standalone entity as the Writing Center? Was that roughly the timeline?
That's probably right, yeah.
I'd say 12 to 15 months.
Yeah, more like 12, I guess, because it was during the fall of 2008.
Okay, and then by fall of 2009, you were about a year.
Right,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know experiences vary, but would you say that would possibly be a reasonable timeline for anybody who might be looking to? I mean, again, I know it's hard to say, but because, like you said, there's so many.
Exactly. It depends, I think, on the size of the institution.
Right.
A smaller private institution can sometimes move more rapidly.
That's what I was.
And you don't have to involve the legislature, and God knows who else has to be involved in some of these decisions.
Okay.
And it depends too on whether there are funds that can be moved into place rather quickly. It depends on whether you've got space that's going to be available, or are you going to build a new building?
So really, it is kind of just getting started in any way possible, and then, like you said, kind of align yourself with with those who maybe already established.
Oh,
most in that realm of tutoring services and such. And would shadowing be a good word to use, or more collaboration? Because I know you said collaboration.
Both,
really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If I'd had a chance to do some shadowing somewhere, I would have really loved that.
Right.
And I would say, if I were giving advice to somebody, I'd say start small.
Right.
That notion, as I was talking about a library study room that was probably no bigger than the office that we're sitting in here.
Right.
Except, you had a glass wall and you could look through the aquarium out at people passing by.
Yeah.
You don't need a huge space.
Right.
So
don't dream too big. Start small.
Yeah.
But I mean, the dream can be there. But as far as the expectation of reality of,
sure,
if you're given a space, do the best you can with the space.
There are people who talk about starting out in broom closets.
Right.
Now whether they're exaggerating or not,
Right.
And probably in some cases, that is literally what they were given.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And there are plenty of people who run writing centers sort of on an utter shoestring in the sense that the director may be a faculty member who's teaching 3 courses in some instances, and then somehow managing to keep the center going.
Right.